Hi everyone, I'm Jongsuwat, director at SAC Gallery. I'm here today in Bangkok to show you our new exhibition, A Disproportionate Burden by Pichai Pongsasaovapark, curated by Lin Jiezhou. Today, I'm going to take you through some highlighted pieces during this COVID time that you can't visit the gallery. I'm just going to select some pieces for you and take you through some of them. So in front of us here is a triptych which highlights the main approach of the artist from this exhibition. This exhibition talks about agriculture and farmers in Thailand and the pressure they have to go through from mass consumption and overconsumption from today's consumers. So what the artist does is he took vegetables and flowers and crops and produce, and he goes over them with a steamroller to press out chemicals and toxic acid that are inside the vegetables and crops to release them onto canvas and to show us the underlying chemicals that are absorbed inside those vegetables. I especially love the color on the surface because with all these bright fluorescent pink and purple and blue, you can really see what's unnatural about these flowers. And of course, these are partially colors from the chemicals, and some were added afterwards by the artist, but it really shows the sense of chemical and human intervention into the crops and the produce. So this is a triptych, and it goes in 3 pieces. You can really see the flowers and the vegetables interlinking between all the canvas boards together. We're going to move here to a similar approach of work, which the artist also press onto the paper. In here, it works almost like a print in the sense that the artist took the vegetable and really pressed onto the surface so that it releases the color from the chemical out onto the surface of the artwork. If you look closely, you can really see the texture that's on the surface. You can see some sort of brownish green, which is released from the chemical. And then on top of that, we have layers of pink and purple, a really beautiful color that adds onto the surface, but what is otherwise a really used to be something really toxic. Don't worry about viewing these works up close because all the chemicals had already evaporated and the artist had already varnished it. But really, I think the sense from this exhibition that the artist is trying to show is that all of these beautiful crops and vegetables and even flowers that we see, are the result of high expectation and pressure from farmers to produce all these perfect crops, and which is, in a way, unrealistic. And whether it be weddings or, ceremony or even a lot of social functions and events, we use a lot of, flowers and vegetables as well. And, the expectation that all of them have to be perfect drove farmers to really have to resort to using chemicals and pesticides and all of this to really achieve that unattainable perfection. And Pichai's attempt at exposing this, but also to call for action for us to realize the pressure that these farmers have to go through to achieve that, but also their lack in the ability to access to training and to the education, formal education on how to use these chemicals properly, result in them having to sometimes get hospitalized and sometimes cost their lives. In the course of Pichai's research into this series of work, he himself actually has to go to hospital as well because he's been exposed to some of the fumes and chemicals that were in those vegetables. Let's come here to have a look at some smaller pieces. Again, what I really love about Pichai's work is that while he shows all these colorfuls and sometimes look rather cheerful color on the surface, just like the fresh produce that we see, the underlying message in there is always about getting us to see the invisible danger that we wouldn't otherwise see had it not been for his art. In this series of works, again, he hammered flowers onto the surface of mulberry paper, very organic, but also if you come closely, you can see the texture of it being really uneven, and you can see in some of the pieces, it's almost like the paper tear through, and you can see the under surface as well. And I think this is the result from the paper surface being stuck onto the hammer while he adds that pressure of going up and down on the surface and really hammering those vegetables or flowers to really get out the toxins that are absorbed inside. So my personal favorites are the yellow and the blue. I think those really show the freshness of the flowers when there were once, fresh flowers. And while they leave a rather greenish, you can really see the greenish brown that come out from the toxins. But also, his touch of some of those primary colors like yellow and blue really add to that effect. And I really especially love these two pieces. Let's come to the other room and we can see more of the works in this series. Here we have what I would say the first time that we see Pichai working with figurative paintings. Normally Pichai is known for his abstract sense of art making, but I suppose in a way it's inevitable that working with farmers and people and human for the artist to really grow sentimental and almost attached to the people that he comes into contact with. So this is the first time we see faces and humans on Pichai's work. And in a way, these faces, while Pichai tried to present somewhat presentation that looked like skulls or bony figure, it's actually faces of farmers that he feels, disproportionate, and that could be almost both metaphorical in the sense that they are disproportionate by their role in the society, but also disproportionate in the physical form as well. When I once spoke to the artist, he mentioned about how these farmers essentially feed the nation, yet somehow they themselves seems to be really underfed and lack in nutrients. Personally, I find these works really powerful. It's really disturbing how all these eyes are staring back at you, and almost like in a way that all of them gathered together and really staring at you and screaming with their eyes, really asking for not just help, but also to be seen and to be recognized. These works are quite interesting in that if you see on the sides, parts of their eyes also come out to the side of the canvas as well. It's almost like you cannot escape the gaze of those farmers looking back at you. And you can see he doesn't focus on the gender of the farmers. He doesn't focus on really trying to accurately represent them, but more of the sentiment that he felt through being in contact with the farmers. Again, using color like fluorescent pink and really bright green, adding to that sort of unnatural aesthetics to what he's trying to present here with his message. We see a lot of really unnatural, very synthetic, very handmade colors that are present on most of his works in here. Okay, let's move on to the next series in the exhibition. So there are 5 of these painting, have 4 on this panel, and then we have one other piece on the other side across the room. These are works that were in contact with a chemical called paraquat. And thankfully, paraquat now is banned from the country, but at the time of making this and throughout his research in the last 2 years of making this exhibition, paraquat was still in use. And these are chemicals that were used to get rid of grass. And what farmers would use normally is in between crops and harvests of rice, they would use this paraquat to get rid of grass that grow at the same time with their rice, so that it would be easier for them to harvest the rice when they grow as well. However, these paraquats are really, really dangerous, and without access to proper training by farmers, many of them actually were hospitalized when they come into contact with this. The artist had witnessed a village that had members of the farmer whose leg had to get cut because he had injury, and then part of this chemical got onto the infection, and then he ended up having to get decapitated, unfortunately. So you can really see the damage that the chemical can really do to you, and they get absorbed by crops and vegetables from the soil. So this is what that we as consumer may have to be consuming as well. The work changed color over time. When we first apply the toxin onto the artwork, they are kind of clear, and then once you use a chemical to detect the toxin, then they become the green that you see right now. My personal favorite are these 2 pieces. They're kind of put them in a row, and in a way it looks like when farmers make rows of crops. In a way it really speaks about, really represent that harvesting crops formation that you get in the countryside. But also, if you really get to see the real works, the texture that are on here, that kind of roughness of the artwork, it really shows something really, I guess, agricultural, and really the texture of soil and the roughness of nature. So these are really strong works, and yeah, I would really love for you to get to see the real works, because I think what you see on the screen right now does not do the works justice here on the texture and the color of these works. Okay, then let's have a look at this major piece in the middle of the gallery. I think this must be at least 5 or 6 meters long. It's a canvas that was part of Pichai's performance that he did for Art for Air festival in Chiang Mai earlier in the year. And the inspiration and the story that this piece tells is about farmers, sugarcane farmers in the north, and how they would often burn the area to prep the farmland conditions so that they can start growing new crops. And of course, we all know that by mass burning in the whole village, it caused pollution, which is, if you live in Thailand, you know that PM 2.5 and the pollution problem is a really an ongoing problem, environmental problem that's been on the rise in recent years, and especially so in the northern part of Thailand. So much that in what used to be the high season in Chiang Mai between November until February is now affected, because early in the year, especially January, February period, is when farmers start to burn their used crops so that they can prep for the new harvesting season. So Pichai took this into his performance during the Art for Air festival, and he laid the sugarcane and used crops onto the canvas, and then he went over them with a steamroller and to really compress the texture onto the canvas. Again, it's a metaphor for the pressure and the kind of suppression that people of the working class and the farmers have to go through, but also it's really to imprint these crops on almost like a historical record. It's also a reference to during the late 90s, early 2000s, the government staged a stunt where they would lay pirate CDs on the ground and use a steamroller to go over all the pirated CDs, and with that action symbolizes that there's no more pirate CDs and copyrights issue in Thailand, which we know that that was just a stunt and it didn't work, but that was just the government's sort of almost like ways to solve problem on the surface, and Pichai has taken that action and retells the story with the problem with the farmers here. So when you come to the exhibition, you can see the documentation of that performance at Art for Air in the video here. The video is not too long, so you can come and spend some time to really get to know the way Pichai works. It's very, in a way, it's quite unconventional. He uses materials and tools that are unconventional to art making, but in a way using everything like the hammer or steamroller or anything like that. It really, for Pichai, everything is very symbolic in the selection of tools. So we will see if we can also release this video online for you to see as well, so you can get to know more about the artist. All right, let's move on to the last but not the least series in the exhibition. This is also another one that for me is quite strong, and in a way it's, I guess, quite, it tells the way that Pichai thinks as well, in that he doesn't just think about one side or just the one angle, but looking at agriculture as a whole and how it fits in the Thai society. Not only the farmers feed the nation, but agriculture counts for 30% of the Thai economy. So of course, in a way, farming and agriculture will somehow relate to the market and the economy of Thailand. The works in here, you see, is actually the surface of the artwork is plastered with newspaper that shows the stock market record on the days of this newspaper. And you know, after he prepped the surface, he then dipped different layers of newspaper of the opposite side to the financial report, and then paste them onto the surface of the newspaper. In a way, using a similar approach to his other works in the series, in almost like a collage, to add layers upon layers of texture and paint onto the surface, really shows the complication of how agriculture and the economy is interlinked, especially so in places like Thailand. And the works here, we have different colors. We have the black, the blue, but for me, my personal favorite would have to be the red. I think it's really strong. It's very striking in the execution. I think it covers almost the entire surface of the canvas compared to the other works, but also it really shows the urgency and really blood, sweat, and tears that goes behind what the farmers really have to go through. So yes, this is some highlighted pieces from Pichai Pongsasaovapark's solo exhibition, A Disproportionate Burden, curated by Lin Jie-zo. It will be on show at SAC Gallery Bangkok on 3rd floor from today until 22nd of October. Unfortunately, right now we can't open for the public to view, but we hope that by the time some of our staff are fully vaccinated, we'll be able to accept visitors by appointment. Please keep up with our channel, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Line, YouTube, email, mailing list, and our website for more updates on this exhibition. And throughout, from now until October, we'll be rolling out a lot of content and workshops and activities that are related to this program. So please keep up with us, and hope we can see you next time and welcome you here at SAC in person. But for now, thank you for watching this, and if you find this information useful, please share and like our page as well, and hope you all stay safe. Thank you very much.